ready to accelerate? Are you ready? It's time to accelerate! Emerge 2015, make some noise!
I am grateful that I have come to a house that I know has the blessing of God, but also the love of a great Father. I have always longed to come back and to always hear Pastor Fela Durotoye and just literally receive of his blessing again and again and again. One of the things that most people do not know is that when God first gave me the mandate for Gemstone, and I was totally confused about how do you fix and build a nation, the first person ever, the first man of God that I ever went to see was Pastor Fela Durotoye. And the blessing that you poured upon me that night, on your knees, I believe are still the things that are sustaining us to a large extent in the work that we're doing, and will sustain us in building and raising a generation that will build Nigeria into a most desirable nation to live in by December 31, 2025. I believe that there's someone in that generation in this place that can say, I am an ambassador of a generation of transformation. Say with me, my generation will transform Nigeria into a most desirable nation to live in by December 31, 2025. Now, did you say that you were an ambassador? Then I would ask that please permit me to break a bit of code protocol and correct my host who had said, ladies and gentlemen, and I would therefore say, because you said you are ambassadors, your excellencies, and if you don't mind, I presume that Pastor Jimmy would say it's okay for you to please extend curtsies to His Excellency or Her Excellency beside you and say, Your Excellencies. Your Excellencies, great to be seated with you. I am grateful for the opportunity. Let them know that you and I are privileged to be a part of this great generation. And we will do the will of God. The world will marvel and they will learn from Nigeria how to build a nation. Once again, please permit me to acknowledge the greatness of God that He has lavishly blessed our generation with through our father, Pastor Fela Durotoye, somebody who appreciates greatness. Please put those hands together. Please put those hands together. Thank you very much, sir. This thing you are seeing that is causing the world to wonder, this amazing edifice that is built to the name of the Lord, is for the next generation. But it's one thing to build for the next generation. It's another thing to build the next generation for this. Yorubas are the ones who have an adage that says, Omotako lumagbeleta kota. Anybody ever heard that before? For those of you who don't speak Yoruba very well, it means can I do it colloquially first? The child we didn't build is the one that will sell the house that we built at great cost. And the child will sell it for pittance because the child has no value. And Why? Because no values were placed in that person. And when we talk about child, let's be clear, the Bible does not say train up your child in the way he should go. The Bible says train up a child in the way that it should go. Why is this so critical? Well, simply, first of all, let us be clear. God has no grandchildren. I thought that I had people that, does anybody feel me here? God has no grandchildren. Who is your heavenly father? Who is your own heavenly father? God. Who is your father or your parents' heavenly father? So you both have the same heavenly father. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. So God is not Pastor Taiwo's dad, which we know he is. And then by extension, because Pastor Taiwo is your spiritual father, therefore God is your spiritual grandfather. No. That doesn't stand. Because every child is a child of God. And so great people have been able to decode that long ago. They will, as in the sense of fulfilling responsibility, train up their own siblings, biological siblings, but they know that their children are more than the ones that can come from their loins. And so I am grateful that Pastor Taiwo has raised truly a valuable leader. One who I believe, sir, causes you to thank God in every way. And I don't know how many of you here would show love and appreciation for a greater than Pastor Taiwo in the making. If you will, turn with me to the book of Ecclesiastes. And I would like to read, I have quite a few scriptures that I'm going to be reading, but I would like to read first of all from chapter 9 and verse 11, and I know that you already know this. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but, somebody hold on, say but. Every time you see a but, they are saying we have reached the cocoa of the matter. Means everything we said before then, even if you forget, from this one point going forward, whatever you do, don't forget. That's what the but there does. This is the crux of the matter. This is the thing you must never forget. But, somebody say it with me, time and chance happen to them all. Get me the Formula One slides, please. I saw that the race is not to the swift. Many years ago, and I'm sure Pastor Taiwo will probably remember this, I can't remember whether it was 1996 Olympics or one of those things. There was a particular athlete, a black athlete, who was at that time the fastest man in the world. And his name was Ben Johnson. Anybody ever heard of a guy called Ben Johnson? Oh, fantastic. Maybe one of the things that you may or may not have heard was that I believe in 1996 Olympics, Ben Johnson stunned the world when he actually was not known as the fastest man in the world. He was disqualified. And in those days, he wasn't disqualified because of drugs or any of those things. But what had happened was Ben Johnson had 4 false starts. I don't know whether you remember that. So what had happened was Ben Johnson, they said, on your mark, set, and before they said go, Ben Johnson had gone. He had too much speed inside him for anybody to delay him. I don't know whether you understand what I'm trying to say. Ben Johnson was gone, so they had to, say, come back. And the second time again, they said, on your mark, set. Before they could say go, Ben Johnson was gone. And they had to call him back again and give him a stern warning. You are the fastest man in the world, but guys, slow down. In a sense, it doesn't matter how fast you run, if you run before goal, it counts for nothing. Because we understand that in this particular generation, speed is everything. This is the generation where we are dealing in nanoseconds and microseconds. And I'll just give you an example of how important speed can be. You know, take a look. I mean, one of my own greatest sports that I love the most, and especially my second or my middle son, Demilade, loves this sports just as well, is actually Formula One. Anybody ever watched a Formula One race before? Right? Has anybody? No, please now, let me be sure who I'm speaking with. Well, for those of you who don't know Formula One, next slide, please. The Formula One is an amazing sport. It's a race sport. And it's not just any kind of race. We're talking about the fastest races on earth when it comes to motorsports. And generally, when you look at the kind of cars that are involved with the Formula One, this is the greatest deployment of technology in sports. Formula One deploys the greatest amount of technology. So when you look at the steering wheel of a Formula One car, it is a computer. They don't press accelerator with their hand, with their feet. Everything is done on this manual. If you look behind, you might see a few levers at the back. That lever, can you see it behind? Can you see the black one behind the thing? That's the accelerator. That's the accelerator. That's where they change their gears. They change gears up. They do everything. Everything is done there. I mean, Formula One is amazing. And next slide. You know, one of the things that they do is that with Formula One, they go around racetracks. And sometimes they have to go around a racetrack 53, 54, sometimes 56 times. And we're talking about amazing cars. And this particular one that I want to talk to you about, just so that you appreciate how important it is when we talk about time and chance, and just the fact that the race is not to the swift, was really the Chinese Grand Prix in 2013. And this particular one happened on the 19th of March 2013. Now, go forward. So there are 4 guys in the Formula One race that are known as legends. The first one is a guy called Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso drives for Ferrari. He's a Spanish guy. The second guy is Kimi Raikkonen. Kimi Raikkonen drives for Lotus. You know, incredible guy. These guys, but I mean, this is my son's personal favorite. Anybody else has a favorite? Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton at that time was driving for Mercedes-Benz. Okay? And then the last person was Sebastian Vettel, who was driving for Red Bull. Now, ultimately, Sebastian Vettel has now won 7 Formula One races. Okay, so he was like the best in the world at that time. For Sebastian Vettel was number 1 in the world as at the day that this Chinese Grand Prix race was taking place. So, get this right. The best in the world and the rest, the next 3 best. And this was how the race kicked off. These guys got off on an incredible note. And you see, with Formula One race, next slide, these guys are able to do amazing speeds. They go as fast as 326 kilometers per hour. Next slide. And at the end of this particular 56 laps of going at about 300 kilometers per hour, this was what the race held. Top pole position went to Fernando Alonso. And Fernando Alonso, if you look to the right, came in at 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 26.945 seconds. Number 2 came in, can everybody see it? Kimi Raikkonen, tell me what his time was. 1 hour, 36 minutes, 37.113 seconds. So what was the gap between Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen? Anybody can calculate it? 11 seconds was the gap between Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen. Do you want to know what 11 seconds looks like in Formula One world? Does anybody want to know? Show me next slide. This is Fernando Alonso crossing the finish line. Where's Kimi Raikkonen? Nowhere to be found. And someone told you that 11 seconds doesn't matter. Nowhere to be found. The gentleman is carrying his cup, loving it, holding it. And then let's go back. These are the top three guys. Kimi Raikkonen, Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen, and Lewis Hamilton. I want you to look at something that happened. Can you tell me what is the gap between Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel?
Less than a second.
Okay. Do you want to give me an idea exactly how much?
0.293 seconds.
Please, can you measure 0.29 seconds for me? Is there anybody that can tell me how much time is 0.29 seconds? Can you do anything in 0.29 seconds? The fastest man in the world did not get a pole finish because of 0.2 nanoseconds. Not. And you see, next slide. Usually there are up to 120 people that work on a Formula One vehicle. Okay? Can you imagine all of them having put in so much? Imagine them packing their load on their way back from China. And you know China is far. China is far from China. I don't know whether you understand. China is far from everywhere. There is nowhere you are going to in the world. China is a long... Yeah, do you understand? Do you know you can fly within China alone for, I think, 8-9 hours? From one place in China. I said China is far from China. Imagine these guys packing their load and going home. And Pastor Taiwo, you know what I'm thinking? I wonder how many of those 120 or so people are asking, what could I have done faster in 0.2 nanoseconds? Could it have been me? Did I not fix the tire on time? Did I not? And multiply that agony by 120 people. Don't you get it? Life is time, and time is life. I think the word lifetime is the most descriptive word of its own self. If I waste your time, I'm committing murder. And if I waste my time, I'm committing suicide. The race is not to the swift. It was David, the great wise king, that said to us, Lord, of all the prayers he prayed, he said, teach us to number our days. He said, this is not for any mere reason. It is that when I am able to have an idea how many days I have packed into my hourglass, then I will be able to apply my heart onto everything apart from foolish things. Because I will be able to know what's important and what's not. I will be able to know what's a distraction and what is not. Don't you understand? Every day the sun goes down and comes up, you have one less day. In fact, if you don't mind me being as crude as possible, every time you take a breath in and out, you have one less breath. And no, don't try to hold your breath, please. I find out you die faster holding your breath than letting it go. Somebody say time. Somebody say chance. The only thing that makes man different from God in itself is time. Because man was created in the image and likeness of God. The only thing that man does not have in this physical restraints, this physical suit, is time. God is not limited by time. Man is limited in time. And there comes a day when we have great transition, if we have been faithful, where we break the borders and the boundaries of time and we enter and be like the one who made us. Does anybody feel me? Look at the person next to you and say to them, value time and make the best use of it. This is extremely critical. This is extremely critical. So you're going to then do something for me to understand that there is a chance for every time and there is a time for every chance. Pastor Jimmy, so I hear this story. You know, sometimes we tell stories, we don't know whether it's true or whether it's not true, but the lesson is always great. And so they tell the story about this young man who apparently had been going through a very tough time. He was unemployed and he was broke. That is broken. That's broked. And so this gentleman had really been praying to God, God, I need a breakthrough. I need a breakthrough. I need a breakthrough. I need a breakthrough. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, one of his uncles, not even his father's brother, a distant uncle, called his number. And he picked up the phone and the uncle says to him, look, I don't know, how are you doing? Yeah, I say, uncle, I'm doing. He said, look, you have just been on my mind for the last 3 days. And I believe that God is really putting it on my mind to bless you. He said, uncle, it is God. It is God. Uncle, I have been praying the last 3 days. Uncle, I've been fasting. Well, it's not, there are some compulsory fasts. If he was not fasting, he would be dieting because there's nothing to eat anyway. Cut the long story short. This gentleman says to him, okay, come to my office in Marina, right? And I will get you something. I have something for you. I have a little envelope for you. But I say, uncle, anything that can go into an envelope cannot be small. As long as it goes into an envelope. So, my friend decides to break his fast. But to break his fast, he has to go to Yakudi and get Indomie. So he goes, gets Indomie, buys kerosene, and then he makes himself a sumptuous meal. Told Yakudi, I'm coming back. Yakudi, I'm telling you. Say, Yakudi, oh, you have not paid me. Yakudi, I say, story le. Olúwa ti ṣe o, Èdùmàrè sọ̀rọ̀ mi dayọ̀, olówó orí mi ẹ̀rù jẹjẹ. You are very happy. I say live story. God has done it. I know this uncle of mine. He's one of those guys they used to say in those days, rich man. His office on Marina. So he goes, makes the Indomie, makes eggs, does everything. And there was no light. So he had to go to his friend's house to go and straighten his clothes. Why? He doesn't want his uncle to see him anyhow. So he goes there, buys spray starch on credit, irons the clothes. By the time my friend gets on the road, unfortunately, there was just a little bit of an accident on Western Avenue. So by the time he finally made it to Marina, as he was getting to the offices, please, I'm here to see Mr. Dayo. I said, oh, didn't you see him? He just left. No, he just left. Can you call him? He doesn't have credit. So he's there, he's stranded. No money to go back home. The money he took to get Okada here, he borrowed. He has extended his debt and he's thinking he doesn't even know where his uncle stays. I told you he wasn't even one of those close uncles. Finally, one of his uncle's colleagues comes and says to him, well, young man, why are you crying? I say, this is the situation expensive. That one gives him a bit of money to go back home. So he gets enough money, gets home. Now he's dodging Mama Kudi. And he sits down there thinking, oh my God, what have I done? Then his uncle's phone rings, or his phone rings, and it's his uncle. So he's extremely excited. Thank God for the God of another chance. So his uncle calls on the phone and says, how are you? What happened to you, Miurie? I didn't see you. You didn't come. I said, uncle, I came. I said, when? I said, I came just about 4:30. I said, what? You came to the office? I'm not close. Not close. I had to close. I had another meeting and I had to cross over. Said, so, sir. He said, no, you know what? In fact, God, I'm so grateful that you didn't come. Because you know, on my way, something, I don't know what happened to our fan belt. The fan belt caught and the car overheated. And you can't believe it. Brand new car, gasket, Jonisha. In fact, thank God, the money I wanted to use to bless you was what we used to fix the gasket. So don't worry. I'll let it borrow loan. Sometime next month I will try and send you. Why did you say her? Did anybody understand? Time. To every opportunity there is a lifetime. Write it down. To every opportunity there is a lifetime. And there are some opportunities that are really what you think of as an opportunity of a lifetime. But I'm going to say something to you that is not a rhyme. Don't get carried away by whether it sounds nice. You must seize the opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of the opportunity. You must seize the opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of the opportunity. What does chance mean? Chance means available possibility. So when it says time and chance, it means there is a bandwidth, an open door in the heavenlies for something to be made possible. But if you do not move within that bandwidth, that open door, that open heaven, that thing that is called a possibility will expire. And it was not that it was not there initially, it is just that it's no longer there. Anybody hear me? Somebody say value time and make the best use of it. I think the greatest challenge that a generation like ours faces is that we grew up in a time and place called Nigeria, Africa, where the time was not valued. Where we saw leaders who are supposed to be the people we respect. In government, we saw them show up 2 hours, 3 hours. We saw chairmen of occasions show up 1 hour after the event was supposed to start. And they would tell you that we cannot start the event because our guest of honor is not yet here. And so I made a commitment to God that I will do everything I can to never commit murder, to never waste anybody's time. And when Pastor Jimmy said to me, would you please come at 3:30? I presume for a meeting that was starting for 4 o'clock. I admired, sir, man of God, please can I confess something to you? I have gone to places where the meeting is scheduled to start for 4, and I ask them, what time are we getting there? And they'll say, sir, we will come and pick you at 4:45. And I'm saying, no, I don't understand. I thought you said the meeting was starting for 4. They say, yeah. It's just praise and worship. I say, just? Did you just say just praise and worship? I said, 2 things. Number one, it is bad enough that any of them will have to wait for us. To keep God waiting. Somebody say value time and make the best use of it. We are a very precious generation in the eyes of God. And to be able to help you understand this, I need you to get a few scriptures. We are a generation that must redeem time and redeem it fast. I'm going to read to you just two more scriptures from Ecclesiastes. So go with me to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and then I would start first from verse 1, and then I will go to verse 17. My focus will be on verse 17b. To everything there is, and what? Are we under heaven? So we know that there is a season and there is a purpose to every chance and every time. Do you understand it? What is a season? A season is a bandwidth of time. A season is the beginning and end of time. I told you a time is a window. And chance is every opportunity that can happen within that window. So in a sense, once there is a time, there usually is also a season. For that gentleman who I just talked about, can anybody remember what would have been his season? What would have been the season? Between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Okay? The beginning of time from when he got the call, but there was an end of time for when he missed the man. Do you get it? So that bandwidth of possibilities is called season. I'll give you also one very interesting story, hoping that that one will at least help you to understand what I'm saying. So there's this young man who has served his uncle for 10 years. Not one day has he ever stolen a kobo. Others have come and gone, Pastor Taiwo, but this guy was steadfast and loyal. And when he had served for 10 years, his uncle decided it was time for his freedom. So his uncle called him. Say, Nedu. Say, sir. Nedu. Say, sir. Chin Nedu. Say, sir. Say, how many times I call you? Say 3. Say, your time has come. And I want to set you up now. And I have it in my heart. Any business that you want to do, apart from this business, I will support you. Chinedu laid on the floor. Oh, uncle, thank you. Say, stand up. You're a good boy. Faithful. My 10 kobo never lost for your hand. Any business apart from this business, I will support you. So go and think of anything you want to do. So Nedu quickly left, having prostrated, and called 2 of his best friends. Said, so what do we do now? My uncle has given me carte blanche, a blank check. Any business I want to go into. Yeah, God. Which kind of will be this one? Any business. Hey, now only this one business I know. Which other business can they now? Meanwhile, it was rainy season. And as they were thinking, which kind of business now making it? Which kind of business now? Which kind of business? All of a sudden, they looked out. And one of his friends said, Nedu, open your eyes. Say, what do you say like this? Nedu say, I they see rain. He said, my friend, shine that eye for me. You know they see opportunity. He say, inside rain. Sir, have you know they see what they see? They do say, yeah, see business. In fact, right, I dey come back now. Inside the rain, Nedu ran to his uncle. Says, sir, I don't come back, sir. He said, you know what you want to do? Say yes. Already? Say yes. What thing you want to do? He said, uncle, I want to go into umbrella business. His uncle thought, Chey, this boy don't true. See umbrella everywhere. Say, where you go, come do? I say, uncle, I just need, in fact, anything you give me. Uncle said, no worry. I will give you 2 million naira. Go and buy anything you want to buy. So Nedu starts to think, where on earth am I going to be able to find cheap umbrellas to buy for 2 million naira? He started to do his research. Research showed, where? China. So Nedu begins to make, okay, so how do we do it now? They say, it's not a big deal, but you have to open letter of credit. You have to do something. Then we get in touch with the people. Finally, Nedu was able to get these people to, the factory. And then they opened letter of credit. And then the people said to him, okay, we can do 1 container for you. But it's small umbrella, just small 20-foot container. I said, we said, anything to start business, we'll start it. We'll grow from there. So he said, well, no problem. But you have to wait for our production cycle. And so they just made sure that, they were scheduled, and Nedu had made the payment. And finally, at the appointed time, they produced the things, and then they sent samples, of course, and all of those things. And finally, they produced it and said to Nedu, we are done. Nedu say, praise the Lord. I say, somebody praise the Lord. But now they have to ship from Guangzhou to Shenzhen. That takes about a week and a half, don't do about 2 weeks. Then they have to wait for the next ship going to Lagos. And the next ship was scheduled to leave about 7 days' time. So now, another week. And so now it takes 7 weeks. I tell you, say China far. From anywhere. 7 weeks for the ship to leave and land in Lagos. The only thing was the dude had forgotten that he needed to clear it. So finally he was able to just run around, get money for the clearing, which had entered into demurrage. So he got some money for the demurrage. And then finally he was able to get a truck that will carry that particular consignment to Umpa local government. The only problem was that by the time the consignment, they opened it to bring out the umbrella, it was in Hamatan. Dust everywhere. Somebody say with me, time. Somebody say with me, chance. Somebody say with me, season. Somebody say with me, purpose. I'm wrapping this up now so that you can get it right. It's not enough for you to know the season that you're currently in. And there are 3 seasons that you must know very well. There is a season called the past, there is a season called the present, and there is a season called the future. They are marked by nicknames like then, now, and soon. Okay? Then speaking to the past, now speaking to the present, and soon speaking to the future. The human being has 3 particular facilities or faculties with which you're supposed to be able to relate with each one of these seasons. Then is supposed to be connected to by your faculty called memory. Now is supposed to be connected to by your faculty called decision. And soon is supposed to be connected to by your faculty called imagination. Now what happens is, to the people who are locked in then, they become blind to soon and now. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. So for instance, when I'm looking at you, can I see the screen behind me? Talk to me now. So, but if I turn around and I look at the screen, can I see you? Is it because you are not there? Well, let me help you understand it this way. Focus creates blindness. And there are many people who are constantly focused on the past. Where I was born, which school I went to, whether I made pass, third class, my parents were not poor. Oh, I didn't learn English. I didn't wear shoe. You know, different of God. No, leave stories. Oh, I don't like. What is it now, you people? And when the thing about it is that when you are so past focused, you become blind to the future. And I don't know whether you see what I see, but do you realize that the God that we serve is a God of perfection? His works are perfect. There is nothing to add. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. And one of the ways you see the perfection of God is just looking at yourself in the mirror. Somebody say, I am fearfully and wonderfully. Yeah, it's the last one I don't know. But think about it. Isn't it amazing just how aligned every part of your body is? No, not that one eye is here, the other one is here. Perfectly weighed. Somebody clap for the God that made you. No. Salute him well. He did a good job. I know there are some people who look at themselves think, now me war like this. No. Anybody when no say you know war, I say salute the creator, the maker. The one who made everything in you that is functioning. But have you noticed that in the perfection of his design, he put one ear to the left and one ear to the right? You know why? Because he wanted you to hear both sides of the story before you take a decision. But, somebody say but. Pastor Taiwo, there's something I'm still not able to fully understand except this lesson that I'm about to teach. This God of perfection, he gives me one mouth, he gives me one nose. Then I think he misplaces something. I'm not sure. Because in my own design, if God had given me one mouth, one nose, one eye, and put the other eye at the back, or more perfection. That's in my own flawless, my flawed design. Because what would have happened is I would have had alignment. One eye, one nose, one mouth. You know, just letter I like that. You know what I mean? And then nobody could have stabbed me from the back. As you are coming, I say, all those things called backbiters, as they want to back yourself. Because I can see anybody. But no. Sorry, that is human design. The God who made us in perfection said, no, I don't need you to focus on what's behind you. I need you to take that eye and place it in front. And I don't care whether you have two eyes and one nose, but guess what? When you look, you will see one thing. And then he does something that is most amazing. I don't know if anybody has noticed. Can you please look at your feet? Where are they pointing? I didn't hear you. Where are your eyes positioned? Oh, I can't hear you. So now that tells you something. God places your eyes and your feet in the same direction. Meaning wherever you focus on, you can walk into. Somebody is still feeling me here. So if you focus on behind and you try to move forward, you will stumble and fall. But if you can only do what I want you to do, hit, I said hit, now me talk am. This see, nobody is sitting with us, Pastor Taiwo, I know it's okay. Hit the person beside you. Tell them, my first face front. My first face front. Face front. Why are you still talking about last year? What is it? Somebody did something to you last year. You are carrying it as a present wound. You are still bleeding from last year, 3 years ago. Oh, when I was young. Oh, He broke my heart. Please, can you look at the person? I'm not listening. I need attitude in this place. Look at them and say, my friend, will you face forward? There is nothing that you need that is behind you. Oh, you didn't hear what I said, so I'm going to say it again. There is nothing you need for your future that is behind you. Whatever you don't have, you don't need to get what God wants to give to you. Somebody say forward. The future is where the game is. That's where the prize is. That's why Paul said, forgetting the things that are behind me, I press forward for the price of a high calling. Your calling is not behind you. Your calling is ahead of you. Somebody shout it, let me hear you. Forward. Your forward is in your future. And when I talk about your future, I'm not talking about a time zone that is yet to come. Your future is everything you can do but have not yet done. Your future is everything you can be but have not yet become. Your future is everything you can have but have not yet possessed. You know why old people have a big problem? And I say old, I didn't say aged. Because you can be old at 17. And you can be young at 70. Do we not have a young man sitting here? Yes, sir. No, somebody, do you not understand? When Pastor Taiwo is feeling it. You know what I mean? Young man. A young. But understand this. What defines young and old? Simple. It's called proportion. The old have more in their memory than in their imagination. The young have more in their imagination than in their memory. Ask the person next to you, are you young or are you old? Somebody say value time. Take me to verse 17 and I begin to see how we can take this. Is somebody still getting something here? Are you sure? Take me to verse 17 of chapter 3, Ecclesiastes. I want to show something that is amazing. Then I'll read a few scriptures. We tie it. Once we tie it, we lock it up. The first part of it is verse A. That's not really the part that I'm dealing with. It's the verse B that we're going to focus on. So I'm going to read verse A and then you will read verse B with me. So 17a says, I said in my heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked. And it's going to be important sometime. But this is not the part that I'm dealing with. Let's go together. 1, 2, 3, 4. For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. So let's look at all the things we have covered today. What was the first thing we got in verse 11 of chapter 9? Let's go. Time, chance. Then in verse 1 of chapter 3, we got a new concept. And what? And now we have gotten another interesting concept called work. Work. Okay, so let's tie all of the things that we are hearing now. It means that when every one of yours, you, myself, everyone was born, we were given an opportunity of a lifetime. You know what I mean? Lifetime. And it was an opportunity. It was a season that was marked, and God already knew the final day. And you know, whether you think that it was not enough or not, no one. Jesus said it this way. He said, no man can take my life from me. I have the power to lay down and to pick up. And he says, he that believeth upon me, the very things that I do shall he do. That means to any believer, no one can take their life. No one. Did you hear me? But it is God who determines times. Sometimes people think, oh, what a tragedy. We've been through a painful place in this house. And then we say, oh, she was gone too soon. Shh. Christ, the epitome of God. 33, he was gone. He had perished. He had finished work. He even declared it. is finished. So each and every one of us has a race, but guess what? Your race and my race are different. Your track is not my track, which is why it doesn't make sense for you and I to be competing. For what? For me, I may get my gold after 50 meters. And I don't know whether anybody has ever noticed that in athletics, especially at the Olympics or any of these other things, there are many gold medals. One medal is given for 100 meters, another medal for 200 meters, another one for 400, and occasionally I even one for 800. But has anybody noticed that the 800 meter gold is not 8 times bigger than the 100 one? 200 meters gold is not twice as big. It means all that matters is know your race, run your race. Don't try to find out what is funky. Don't try to find out what other people are making it by. You are called to your own race. And you got to run that race, because it is when you finish your own race that your own medal awaits. But the only thing is that you have a timer. If you don't finish your race in your time, Bashikinaba. Anybody feel me? Look, this one, you got to look to somebody. I don't know whether it's a cross. I don't know how you're going to catch their attention. But look for somebody you like and tell them you don't have time. This race, called the human race, is a race against time. You can't afford to start doing what God asked you to do next year. You can't afford it. Your calling, for which you are equipped with your talent, with your personality, with your passion, it is on a timer. It's on a timer. You must run your race. And please let me help you understand. This human race, next slide, is not a race between the white man and the black man. It's not a race between the Caucasian and the Indian. No. It is a race against time, but it's a relay race. Man of God, please come. Woman of God, it's okay for you to please come. Please come. And so you find out, even though they are both together, okay, fantastic. Does anybody feel me? There's going to come in every race the need to run my race and to finish my race gallantly in quick time. I must make sure I don't run on another man's lane lest I get disqualified before the end of the race. So now I must run my race. And regardless of how well I run my race, I need to get to a place where I must pass the baton to the next generation. Because if I don't pass my baton, what do they do to me? Even though I could have run the entire race, they said, no, a space was appointed to you for this race. So if at the time of my youth, I was a good manager of resources, and it comes to a point where I should have laid the baton of responsibility and opportunity and authority to the next generation, but I refuse. So I need to run my race and know when to pass the baton. But anybody ever notice something? Do the people that could receive the baton, do they behave like Pastor Jimmy just did? So you will notice something. I will never hand over a baton to someone who does not know how to run without a baton. Oh, you didn't hear what I mean? This is authority to lead. But he must be running. Even though he doesn't have authority yet, he must be displaying leadership before I can say, yes, sir, he can do it. Without the baton, he's been running in the same direction. Does anybody feel me? Are you sure you feel me? Somebody say it, I am a leader. Listen, you don't need a position to lead. You don't need a position to lead. Leadership is not a function of position. When you have shown leadership, we will make you a manager. Anybody feel me? So I have to run my race and know when to pass over to the baton to the person who takes it over. Now, do I just say, I've done my own? If he likes, let him fail. I've read my own book. If you like, read your book. If you like, don't read your book. Does anybody have an idea what's going to happen should he fail? What? Eh? No, but I ran my race. Eh? Eh? It doesn't follow. But I passed it at the right time. Eh? So it is not enough that I prepare the future for the next generation. I must prepare the next generation for the future. That is why you are going to put your hands together for a man who knows how to prepare the future for the next generation and prepare the next generation for the future. We salute you, sir. You've invested in young people long before it became a fashion to do so. You invested in discovering men when they were boys. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. But you get the point I was trying to make. He has to. We have to make sure you are all right. Otherwise, we are not all right. Does anybody feel me? Let's go. I need to wrap this up now. Are you still here? Have I overstayed my welcome? So every generation must run their race and hand over to another generation. Now, I don't need you to necessarily flip the page, but Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 4, I'm going to read that one to you. It says, generations come and go, but nothing really changes. What does this mean? It means every generation is a group of people who understand that there is a purpose to that season. And it is possible for people to think that my generation has come and my generation has gone. Hey, yeah. Hey, you know, our generation, when we had the opportunity, we didn't do as well as we wish we could. But at least, this next generation, you people have to have. No! That is not how generations are defined. Why do we know this? Because we understand that there was a generation that came out of Egypt and another generation that went into Israel or the promised land. Now get this right. But we can see that two people who had knowledge of times and seasons and purpose and work were able to transcend both. So Joshua and Caleb came out. And when they had come out and the season changed and the purpose changed and the work changed, you see, in Egypt, they were not meant to learn warfare. But by the time they went out, the time of carrying load had come to an end. A new opportunity, season, and purpose. Unfortunately, the guys that came out were locked in the former purpose. They were locked in then. They couldn't see soon. And even when God said, look, I will give you the privilege of peeping so that you guys can go and spy, so that your mind will be filled with the possibilities, the beauty, the benefits of the land. Go and catch a vision of where you are going. Because of their past mentality, when they went in there, they went in with the slave paradigm. So anything they went to spy not the land, they went to spy the people. Oh, you didn't hear what I'm saying? The land was beautiful, but they couldn't see it. The grapes were great. They couldn't see it. All they could see was who are our next taskmasters. Yeah. These ones are even bigger than the Egyptians. Does anybody feel me? Yes, tell somebody, it's not enough to know what to focus on. You must know what to be blind to. It's not everything you must see. If you're going to succeed in this generation, there are some newspapers you must not read. There are some things you will see inside newspaper. Don't let it enter your soul. If it enters your soul, it will contaminate your faith. Choose what you look at carefully. More importantly, choose what you don't look at. Young men, the greatest problem that we're having with the Christendom and infidelity is that men have not learned how to become blind to other babes. They are seeing everything. Let her be enraptured. Your mind be filled to the exclusion of all others. Focus, blindness. Focus, blindness. Focus. Now let me do it the right way. Are you ready? Focus, blindness. Focus, blindness. Anytime you are not focusing on what you desire, be blind to it. Somebody say time, chance, purpose, and opportunity or work. Are you ready? So every generation has a purpose. There was one very effective generation, many of you already know it. It was called the generation of liberation. That was the generation that we sing about. The labors of our heroes past. I love you people. Now listen, when you sing that song, whose images come to your mind? Okay, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Let me be clear about this. Is it that no heroes have showed up in Nigeria since those guys? But let me explain it to you this way so that you get it. That was an effective generation. An effective generation, you must write this down. Otherwise, you must buy the tape. An effective generation has 4 things that are characteristic of it. Number 1, they must, of necessity, agree as one people. This means that regardless of where they come from, regardless of which side of town they are born to, regardless of whether they are lower class, upper class, middle class, no class, regardless of whether they are silver spoon, golden spoon, wooden spoon, plastic spoon, no spoon, right? It doesn't matter. Regardless of whether you are male, female, whatever, your hair is long or no, it doesn't matter. We must agree as. Oh, I didn't hear you. Number 2, they must speak with one voice. They must speak with one voice. Regardless of whatever language they speak, Igbo, Hausa, Kanuri, Ijaw, Shekiri, doesn't matter. They must speak with one voice. Meaning what they say must be one. At the last Spirit Life conference the House on the Rock did, Bishop Tudor Bismarck, and he said the greatest challenge the church has come to is that on key issues that affect generations, the church does not have a voice. They're speaking in different things. Everybody just having what they call a cacophony of voices. Says yet the gays were able to have one voice. One voice. Less than 2% of America moved in 20 years legislation into their favor. What was wrong became right. In fact, please don't let me say right, because it's not right in the eyes of God. It became all right. Know what all right means? 2 words come together. Altered right. It was wrong. We make it altered right, meaning all right. And they're not the only ones. You might trip about the same-sex marriage laws and all of that, but there are other things that have become all right, sir. Pastor Taiwo, I know that when you were getting ready many years ago to pop the question, in those days, In those days, BJ, before Jimmy, in those days, the white wedding was not that wedding of white people. It was called white gown wedding. And white gown was a sign of purity, to say that the woman I'm taking to the altar has not been defiled. I don't know whether you understand. So whenever it was, you will see the father of the bride. Then he will 1,000, 5,000. You know he will be laughing. And say, God, thank you for coming. Say, God, thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. He will be so proud. My daughter, I'm giving unscathed, undefiled. And somehow people took it so seriously that should it happen, that it had happened. You know what I mean? Before then, they will not be able to wear white. You can wear silver, ivory, beige, purple, blue. And you will see the father looking morose, very blue. There was nothing left. No pride. This was then. But what happened? We started to see a decay in values. And so it got to a point where in those days, the father will stand there and depending on how well he knows his daughter, either confidence or interpretation, when the priest asks, so have you guys? And when she says, no sir, the priest could take her word for it, the father will take her word for it, and the guy will take her word for it. But what happened? Things changed. Are you there? Listen to this. This is very important about the generation. So now we got to a point in time when it was not that it was right, but it's all right, sir. So when the priest is going to ask, the father will say, sir, let him that is without sin cast the first stone. Oh my So what was wrong became all right. Then soon we got to the point where what was right became wrong. And a young lady comes to see me crying because I mentor she and her fiance, and says to me, Uncle Fela, what do I do? I said, what's the matter? Said, I went to see my mother-in-law to be. And the first time I was having the privilege of meeting her, because he took me to her, she said that he should go and buy something. And she called me to the room and said to me, Ngbo, I hear that you are a witch. Born again sister. She was like, oh my God. Mommy, don't call me mommy. Don't call me mommy. I hear you are a witch. Emiri. Mommy, no ma, I'm born again. Shut your mouth. A witch. I said, Mommy, how can you say that? Sir, how can I say that? I hear that you have refused to sleep with my son. So you want to bring barrenness into our family? Oh, let me tell you, would you me dada? Let me tell you. This was what she told me. Let me tell you, if you don't get pregnant, we will not marry you. So what was right has become wrong. Anybody still feel me? Are you sure you're still here? So Jesus, speaking about this, said in Matthew chapter 12 and verse 38, and he was speaking to the scribes who had asked for a sign. He said, the men of Nineveh will rise up in judgment with this generation and condemn it. Meaning generations can be condemned together. Not just one person. Together. And then he says something that was amazing. He said, this generation will by no means pass away until all the things that I have told you concerning the times to come will happen. Stay with me. This is the crux of the matter. Everything I've said before was to tease you. This is the point. So there is a purpose that cannot pass away. That is the preparation for the coming of Christ. It will never go out of fashion. Technically speaking, until the coming of Christ, we will always be in the last days. And if you are not poised, ready, that purpose is not going to fade away and pass away. It's not. That particular one. That means regardless of who comes and goes, that there will always be a generation unto salvation. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? But there are wicked and perverse generations. Peter said this in Acts chapter 2 and verse 40. He said, I want you to be saved from this perverse generation. This was Apostle Peter having preached the greatest message at Pentecost. Hear me, stay with me. So the people he was speaking to were people who saw Jesus. But he was preaching to them. Meaning not everybody who saw Christ was saved. Oh, you didn't get it. And he declares unto them, having wounded him and bruised him and hung him on a tree, look, don't be like this perverse generation. Meaning that, listen, you can be part of a generation and not be a part of it. So when a generation is looking at all the things that are common to it, you can choose to be different. Does anybody understand? They can say to you that if you don't give bribe, you can't do well in business. You can say never, not me. I am grateful for the privilege to be able to speak loudly and say that by the grace of God, in all my 25 years, in all my 19, I started business in 2000 now, 2000, that's 15 years. In all my 15 years in business, to the glory of God, I have never given a bribe. Some people, Christians, are angry with me, sir, for what I just said. You don't share? Feel like, so if you are not giving a bribe, you go, Wicked, perverse generation who think that it is impossible. Now listen to this. Peter, speaking to those who then gave their lives to Christ, said in 2 Peter, don't forget the same time, the same people, 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. But you are a chosen generation. So there was wicked and perverse generation, they were still alive. And inside the wicked and perverse generation, there was a chosen generation. Oh, you didn't get it. So out of this generation of corruption will emerge the generation of transformation. Where are they? Let me see your hand say, I'm an ambassador of a generation of transformation. We are a chosen generation. What are we called to do? Do we have all we need? Who are you? I'm walking in power. I'm walking in miracle. I live a life of favor. I know who I am. I'm walking in power. Walking in miracle. I live a life of favor. I know who I am. Oh, oh, who are you? Remember that as a man thinketh in his heart. So the question you are saying, or the song you are singing, is I know how I think. I know how I think. Oh, 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 oh. I know how I think. Because as you think in your heart, so how are you not going to be part of a perverse generation to become a royal priesthood? And time does not permit me to deal with royal priesthood because that's about king and priest. In fact, I have to deal with it. Romans chapter 5 and verse 10 says, Jesus starting from verse 9 says, but you have been qualified to break the scroll and open the seals thereof. For you were slain. Who was slain? Who was slain? Christ, Jesus. And you have bought and redeemed us unto our God, and redeemed us from every kindred and every tribe, and made us king and priest unto our God. And what will happen? We will, oh, come on, somebody talk to me. That's leadership. That we are kings and priests called to lead. What does that mean? A king is somebody, or let me start with a priest. A priest is someone who takes the matters of the people to God and represents the people speaking to God. So a priest doesn't come and say, Lord, please, my house rent. He says, take no thought where you shall live. I don't want to hear things about house rent. That is not a prayer. He says, you have not because you ask not, and when you ask, you are asking amiss because you are praying about your own selfish matters. Don't talk to me about your house rent. Come and talk to me about, Lord, there is no housing for the people. We are 17 million houses short. The Mortgage Bankers Association of Nigeria said we are 17 million short. Father, by 2025, we will be at a housing, we will need 250 million people, housing for them. Father, how are we going to do it? How will we do it? Lord, that is a priest. Doesn't say, Lord, please, to buy a car. No. He goes and says, Lord, how do we create underground trains that can move 2 million people from Ilupeju all the way to Yanopaja between 8 and 10? Doesn't say, Lord, please, my school fees. Says, Lord, how do we provide quality education for an entire generation? Father, 89.4 million people failed NECO. This is wrong. This is wrong. Lord, give us strategy. That is what a priest does. And when God hears the cry of a priest, he gives revelation. And with the word of his power, the priest comes back, but this time he's coming facing the people with his back to God with the word. And where the word of the king is, so when he tells the people what God said, he's standing in authority and saying, you know what, let us raise 75 volunteer workers. Let us adopt an entire district. I'm telling you what we have done. Let us go and paint Mushin. How many of you ever heard of Mushin Makeover? We were able to mobilize 2,000 people. And on the 12th of December, 2009, we painted 296 houses for free. We painted this road maiden from this junction here in Ilupeju all the way to Jibo, 31 bus stops through 7 streets in Mushin.
free of charge. We didn't take one kobo from government. We didn't ask for it. I know who I am. I don't need to be local government chairman. Who are you? A generation that will emerge as leaders must be able to think like this. 10 values that this generation must think about. Write it down. Number 1, make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go. This generation that is a chosen generation that will rise as kings and priests and demonstrate leadership must make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go. Your impact is what is left behind after you have left. If it is good, then you've made a positive impact. If it is bad, you have made a negative impact. But the worst of them all is nil. Nil impact is the kind of impact that happens when you stop going to a church and the pastor doesn't even know you came. You say, you know, the church, that pastor is not a good shepherd. He's a good shepherd. You are the one that is not a good sheep. A nil impact is the kind of impact that a person makes when you leave your part of town. Nobody knows you have left. They didn't even say, we have not seen you. One man of God, said to me that his bank was a useless bank. Everybody in the bank useless. What happened? Said he started about 6 months ago. I knew that they are not a caring bank. So you can't believe it. I was ill. I had typhoid. I was admitted in the hospital 5 days. Sir, not even one call. You know what was you know what pained me the most? Why I decided to resign? Sir, I fell ill on Monday. Tuesday I didn't come to work. Wednesday I didn't come to work. Thursday I didn't come to work. Sir, Friday I didn't come to work. Saturday I was resting. Even, sir, I won't lie to you, Sunday I couldn't go to church. But I managed. When I got to work on Monday, do you know, sir, not even one of them greeted me. So I said to them, look at you people. You are wicked. Sir, they said to me, what's the matter? I said, you are still asking me what's the matter. I said, that's how somebody will die in this company. Nobody will know it. They say, anybody die? I said, no, it's God that did not kill me. They said, what happened? You're asking me what happened. Did you see me on Tuesday? He said, you weren't here? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was not here. They said, are you serious? Meaning, listen to this. His absence created no vacuum. Yes, therefore, his presence created no value. Your impact is measured by the vacuum that your absence creates. When you are not there, what's missing? Number 2, you must be a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved. Every time you throw a gala wrapper on the floor, have you created a solution or a problem? But every time you see something on the floor and you pick it up, have you created a solution or a problem? I try to walk around my estate, VGC. I try. You know, when the word became flesh and I looked at myself one day, I said, this is the full gospel. I knew something had to happen. So I started doing jogs. But one thing I try to do when I go around, even though to parts of the place I have never been, I look for nails on the floor. So as I'm walking around, I would see nails, sometimes screwdrivers, and I'll pick it up. Nobody to thank me. I'll make sure that I'm picking it up because it is a problem that somebody's going to deal with. Are you with me? So every time I use the toilet and I don't flush, have I created a problem or a solution? I want you to look at the person next to you and say, you are a chosen generation. Therefore, you must be a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved. Number 3, To be a chosen generation operating in excellence, you must be a role model worthy of emulation. You must be a role model. Meaning, you can be the one to show the good example. I love the way Mahatma Gandhi said it. Said, be the change you want to see in the world. You drive the way that you want everybody else to drive. Oh, sorry, fella, I don't have a car. Stand at the bus stop the way you want everybody else to queue. But they are not queuing. You stand. The Bible says stand. And against all things, stand sharp. Look at the person on the other side this time and say, you are a chosen generation. And you must be a role worthy of emulation. Lectures at the time that you hope everybody else will arrive. And if the lecturer gets there, he should be happy to see you all. Submit your thesis. Do your work. Write your report in a way that people can. You see, a few years ago, I got a call from a friend of mine. His name is Niyi Adesina, now an executive director in Heritage Bank. He used to be with Sky Bank. He called me from Abuja. He said, oh Bobs, I see your work. Oh. I say, wait here. He said to me that Mr. Shola Akinfenwa, who used to be the MD of Prudent Bank at that time, I had done, my company, VIP Consulting, had done a branch assessment for them. And when I presented the report, they said Shola Akinfenwa was taking the report everywhere, every meeting. He would say, see, when I say report, had graphs, colors, and everything was done with PowerPoint. Have you seen some of those slides? How many of you like my slides? Do you like it? When I travel abroad, they say to me, did you say you're from Nigeria? I say, yes. You know Harvard? Harvard can't bash me, Jenny. I wanted to be all OAU so that nobody can say, Harvard, I didn't stay long there. But when people think of the same thing, it must be the Harvard. It's not Harvard. It's purebred Ife. Great Ife. Go. Of the greatest gidigba. Do you understand? Before Harvard, I was doing all these things. So it's not any Harvard anything. I just came back from Yale University. When I was there, as I was the lecturers were taking, go if you go on my Twitter. How many of you are connected to me on Twitter? I don't like the rest of you. If you go, you will see my picture with lecturers. They were the ones saying, when you make a contribution, they will say, I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. Look at the person and say, be a role model. Of emulation. Let's move faster. Next, be your best in all you do, particularly the things you are naturally good at. Why is it important that you are naturally good at it? Because it signifies that it is in the place of your calling. You are not called to everything. The things you are called to, you are naturally given a talent, a personality, and passion for it. So when you look at what it is you will naturally do, now think about it. The way God designed human beings to work, we were not meant to work and toil. We were designed for something, and that thing was supposed to bring us joy. Hard work was the natural consequence of enjoying what you do. Because you enjoy it, you do more of it. Because it solves a problem, they create more opportunity to do it. Because they pay you to do it, then you do more. And then it creates opportunity, then they pay you, then you do more. Then it creates opportunity, then they pay you, then you do more. Then it creates up. That is the cycle. You are not even supposed to be thinking about retirement. You are supposed to be living life. But every time you see someone who says, thank God it's Friday, oh God it's Monday, you know there is a problem. Tell the person next to you, you are a chosen generation. And you must give your best and be your best in all you do, particularly the things you are naturally good at. Ask them, have you found what you're naturally good at? Have you found the problem you were created to solve? Next, you cannot be a part of this perverse generation. This is what Peter said. So you must do the right thing at all times, regardless of who is doing the wrong thing. That it is all right does not make it right. Do the right thing. Don't do it sometimes and maybe if nobody's looking, just sneak it in. No. Don't do the wrong thing because you are going to the right place. I said to my driver this morning, I said somebody who will break the law to get to the office is not likely to follow the rules at the office. Practice makes perfect. So you say you are rushing to the office, so you take pedestrian lane. When you get to the office, there will be some form of pedestrian lane. There will be a shortcut. The only thing is that it can cut your career short. Institutions have collapsed after 80 years. Arthur Anderson. 80 years. The company went down because some guys were doing the wrong thing. 80 years of tradition. You've got to do the right thing. Let's go to the next one. And I think I've done that. That's what this whole message, that was the title of the message. Value time and make the best use of it. I think I've already dealt with that, yeah? But let me just add this to you. Time must be treasured. Time must be invested. Time must be managed. And time must be enjoyed. Did you hear me? Time must be treasured, invested, managed, and enjoyed. The last, or this number 7, you must care and show respect through your words and your actions. What is it to care? To care means to be concerned about the well-being of a thing, a place, or a person. Be concerned about more than yourself. As a king, you must be concerned about the people. Be concerned about the things in your care. When you buy shoes, waka softly. So you don't need to buy another pair of shoes very quickly. Some people spoil what is given to them too fast. They give you an opportunity to go and drop your cousin. Then you bash the car before you come back. That was the car your uncle wanted to give you. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. Tell the person next to you, care. And show respect. What does it mean to show respect? Very simple. To bestow honor on others, regardless of age, stage, or class. It's not that I am older than you, so what? Whoever it is what you give that you can, what you have that you can give. And you cannot give what you don't have. Can you give it? So if I'm not a person of dishonor, I cannot dishonor somebody else, even if they deserve it. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? Respect is a seed. Honor is the harvest of that seed. Let me move to the next one. Consciously build a great legacy, starting now, today, and every day. Ladies and gentlemen, December 31, 2025, God told me as far as 2004, and I came to see Pastor Taiwo. He said by December 31, 2025, Nigeria will be undoubtedly the world's most desirable nation to live in. Whether you believe it or not, that one can never negate the word of God. When I came to see Pastor Taiwo, and I was sharing with him, I reminded him today, he said, God told me you were coming 7 years ago, but I didn't know who you are. I didn't know who you are. 7 years before 2005 was when God told him, somebody's coming. A future is coming. In 2007, I was reading a magazine, Redemption Light, where Daddy Gio said, I may not know many things, but I know I hear God. He said, and God said to me, by 2025, the green passport of Nigeria will be the most coveted passport in the world.
In 2009, in a magazine called CFI, Campus Fellowship International Magazine, Mama Archbishop Margaret Idahosa said something. God told me, I don't know how it will happen, but he said, this is what God said. He said by 2025, Nigeria will be the destination capital of the world. So now listen to this. This is the chance, and this is the time. 2025, by the special grace of God, you must be alive. Just to let you know, December 31, 2025 is 10 years, 2 months, and 22 days away. Anything you don't start doing now, you may not be able to have 10 years experience at it by 2025. I need you to look at somebody next to you and just say, you must consciously build a great legacy, starting now, today, and every day. Number 9, you must live a life of integrity and honor. We are called out of a wicked and perverse generation. We are the ones to show the righteousness of God. Meaning, you can't lie. On my way here, I was listening to Brilla FM. And the lady, I don't know what her name is called, Funky Baby or something like that, was on air. And Pastor Taiwo, the theme for today's program was what I hate most. And it was about what don't you like that somebody that you are dating will do. So some people say, what I hate the most is that my wife will go and join those league of people that will be going from everywhere, going from wedding to naming to say, I don't like all those kind of things. Another person say, what I hate the most is gossip. I don't like women that gossip. One guy say, what I hate the most is all these women that carry hair or to their back. I won't say the way he said it, to their back. He said that one, you know that she's a fake girl. Then I started hearing some that were very interesting. He said, what I hate the most is women that lie too much. I say, did you hear what he said? I tell to my driver. He said, yes, sir. I say, yes, women that lie too much. But if you lie a little, it's okay. How much is too much? Somebody said to me one day, you know, there are some people, they are greedy, sir. You know, I mean, we know you are in government, at least steal small. Just a little. Just steal something small. Chop. Nobody will be angry. But when you, I say, since when did stealing become in grades? Thou shalt not steal a lot. Thou shalt steal a little. Don't steal too much. Just a little. God does not qualify by grade. Simple. Be a person of your word and do what you said you will do. However, if I said to Pastor Jimmy, I'm going to slap you, and I slap him, is that not integrity? So it is not enough for you to be a person of integrity, you have to be a person of honor. Yeah. You must replant your mind, meaning think what is right, excellent, pure, lovely, admirable, noble, and true. Go and buy the tape if you want to hear it again. I'm going to say it one more time. If you don't catch it, it's okay. But go and buy the tape. Whatsoever is right, whatsoever is excellent, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is lovely, whatsoever is admirable, whatsoever is noble and true, think on these things. Replant. R, right? E, excellent. P, pure. L, lovely. A, admirable. N, noble. T, true. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you think right, you'll be right. If you think excellent, you'll do excellent. But out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. So if you think pure thoughts, your words will be pure. If you think lovely things, your words will be lovely. Do you understand it? The last one, make your family, your
nation and your God proud. Become somebody that other people want to associate with. See, I am not saying they don't exist too, and I don't know whether there's anybody in this church. Sorry, is there anybody in this church by the name of Anini? Any Anini here? So, any Anini here? Bin Laden? Any Bin Laden here? Any Hitler? Have you met any Hitler since Adolf Hitler? There are certain people that have desecrated their family name that nobody wants to associate with. And there are other people that not only their family members want to associate with, people begin to claim, what are you saying? It's my brother. We are from the same local government. Local government game. Say yes, even the same region. He's South-South, I'm South-South. So what do you mean you are South-South? I know you are from Okemesekiti. My wife is Delta. So we are South-South. I don't know whether you understand. Who are you making proud? Who is claiming you? Who's claiming you? There's something you are called to do that when you do it, the whole world will be claiming you. Christians will be saying, he's my Christian brother. In Venezuela, they will be claiming you. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. This is the thinking of the next generation. We cannot be conformed to the patterns of this world. We must be transformed to the new pattern of thinking. But I want to ask, how many of you are willing to commit to that platform? Because what God said to me is, go and raise me a generation that is empowered, motivated, and stirred to operate with natural excellence. It says this is the gemstone generation. I don't know if there's anybody here who wants to say, I get it. Fela, and these are the values of Christ. Everywhere he went, he was doing good. He made a positive impact on everyone he met and everywhere. Those who were blind, he gave eyes. Those who were deaf, he gave listening ears. The lame, he strengthened their feet. He was always solving problems. We are all Christians, meaning to be like Christ, because he was a role model. He's still a role model worthy of emulation. No, to the best of my knowledge, amazing guy. Flawless. Did the right thing. Not one ill, not one vice, not one blemish. He said Satan has looked for, and he cannot find anything in me. Pure, blemishless. He always knew what time it was. Mother, my time has not come. Okay, boom. Then after some time, he says, soon is coming a time when I will no longer be with you. Then he said, listen, you know, he kept on talking about time. He said, this is the last time I'm going to be with you. He said, everything he was doing was time, time, time. He cared and showed respect. Never did a miracle that he did not show compassion for. He consciously built a great legacy. His legacy is still standing today. Look at it. Built an organization starting with 3 people. Today, over 3 billion. He wrote a book. Best-selling book of all time. The Bible. Somebody understanding me? Listen to his legacy. We are all tripping on it. He left a name behind upon which we are standing and everything is bowing. And you know, he made his family proud. His mother, just for being the mother of Jesus, over 1 billion people hail her every morning. Hail Mary. Hail Mary. Over 3,800,000 people, 2013. 4.2 million people, 2014, went to visit Israel just to walk in his path. He made his nation proud. And you know what God said about him? This is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. So he made his God proud. These are the values of Christ. But I want you to imagine if these values can enter into the heart of every human being. Will any Christian reject these values that you know? What about Muslim? What about Anoduwa or Batala Shongo? Which one? Will anybody from the north reject these values? South? East? West? Male? Female? Upper class? Lower class. Do you realize we have a value that transcends everything that has separated us and distinguished us and differentiated us? Do you understand it now? How many people want to subscribe to these values? How many people? You have a card in your hand. Please let me help you understand it. That card has the 10 things, and we're going to talk about it right now. We're going to recite it together. But if you don't want to connect with the values, at least try to be a Christian with integrity and return the card. Why? Simple. I'm sure you have written it down, so you don't need the card. A company is providing 5 million cards to us for free as part of infusing these values. The company is called O Naftali. If you clap for them, I'll be happy. Eniola Fayose is the CEO of O Naftali, and he said, and it's not Fayose governor, but he said to me, God told him to back up, to put his entire printing press to work. As long as we need cards, he will continue to give. So he's giving it to us for free, and we are giving it for free to those who want it. He says, I'll pour out my spirit on the thirsty soul. If you will not take it, if you will not say it for the next 10 days, if you will not share it using your network, your Facebook, Twitter, each one, just one a day for the next 10 days, that's all we're asking. And if you will not show it, then don't take it. At least do something of integrity. Give it back and say, I don't like these values. That's all. How many of you want the card? How many of you want the card? If you want the card, there's a white sheet that is there. And that white sheet takes 1 minute 45 seconds to fill, just so that we can reinforce the values that you are going to profess now. There's nothing. We're not taking your details and giving it to anybody. They're personal, confidential. But we will send you text messages to say, this week, remember to. We will send you on Twitter. We will connect with you. We will mention you. You will follow us and we will follow you back. At least you will get another follower. And you don't have to say, please. Say, KFB, kindly follow back. Don't worry. We will follow you. If you follow us. Is there somebody who's ready? If you're ready to say this, why don't you rise to your feet? Just rise to your feet. But remember, only people of integrity. Nobody can collect the thing from you if you don't fill the card. If you don't fill it, we can't know. But you will go back, and if you're carrying that white sheet of paper in you, you will know that I did something that was not of integrity. We need you to fill that card, that white form, and send it back to us quickly today. Are you ready? A person who takes these values, are they likely to go up in life or come down? How quickly will they get up? Do you understand that there is a difference between a fast track and a shortcut? A shortcut will cut you short, but a fast track is a road that very few people are on, and it gives you opportunity to accelerate. I don't know whether you understand. Does somebody feel me? So I want you to look at that card, and you've done something beautifully. Please, can I have yours? This is exactly what I wanted you to do. Fold it like this, very neatly. Try and fold it neatly. By 2025, this card will be, somebody can offer you $1 million for it. You will think I'm joking, but when you see it at that time. Because you will be able to say, we were the ones that changed this nation and built it into a most desirable nation. Are you there? You know what one man of God said to me? He said, Fela, this is a yellow card. And he said, whilst I was teaching, God told him that what is a yellow card? Immunization card, isn't it? He said, this is the card that will immunize this generation from the ills that lurk around trying to get them. This is the generation that does not have to look for pornography. Pornography is looking for you. For those of you that have kids, you can block your internet all you like. Your kids will soon grow up. They will go out. If you don't put the values in their heart, there's nothing for them. Are you ready? Are you ready? Somebody ready here? I want you to take that front part and say with me, mine is the generation that is empowered, motivated, and stirred to operate with natural excellence. And this is my personal creed. Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Then somebody say with me, this day, the 8th of October 2015,
I, Fela Durotoye, hereby commit to live a lifestyle of leadership and excellence, and to do all within my power to transform my country, Nigeria, into a most desirable nation to live in by December 31, 2025. To this end, I will, open the card now, I will make a positive impact on everyone I meet and everywhere I go. I will be a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved. I will be a role model worthy of emulation. I will be my best in all that I do, particularly the things I'm naturally good at. I will do the right thing at all times, regardless of who is doing the wrong thing. I will value time and make the best use of it. I will care and show respect to all through my words and my actions. I will consciously build a great legacy, starting now, today, and every day. I will live a life of integrity and honor. I will make my family, my nation, and my God proud. So help me God. So help me God. Look at the person next to you and say, the future of Nigeria is inside you. It's not ahead of you. It's inside you. And you must deliver the future. I am relying on you to do all you can and be all you can and have all you can so you can give all you can. This nation will be the greatest nation on God's own earth. And we are being called to be the generation that will build Nigeria into the most desirable nation. If you're sure you're in that generation, why don't you put your hands together? I want to say thank you so much. Thank you for the time you've given me. And I pray that coming out of this Emerging Leaders Conference will be leaders that will build this nation, shape this continent, and shake this earth positively for God. Your Excellencies, may God bless you. May God bless the Fountain of Life Church. And may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much. Put your hands together for God if you can.